Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Today it's going to be a match between Nalra and Nada. We got Tasteless here casting, apparently. It's an older game, but it checks out. It's going to be Luna, or Neo Luna. Top right, it's going to be our Teal Terran. It is Nada, a legendary player. And at the bottom right, we have Nalra. So both players' names sound very similar. But it's going to be a PvT here for you today. Should be excellent. Again, it's a bit of an older replay. I think Nada and Nalra are both retired or stepped away from the game. Retired has a different meaning in Brood War. Retired just means you're still playing and still competing, but you retired when the Caspasine disbanded back a few years ago. Okay. What do we got? Well, TVP shenanigans is what we got. Should be great. Should be wonderful. Probe checking to make sure there's no proxy shenanigans happening from Nada, but Nada hasn't left his home at this stage. And again, sometimes with these older games, we get weird strategies that have kind of been phased out. The level of play is not as good as it is today a lot of the time because, look, this is a game from what? 2008 maybe? Maybe 2007 even? So what, it's been 15 years in StarCraft 2. People have made all sorts of discoveries. People have been practicing and rounding their skills out into shape more and more every day for years and years after this was played. So in general, what I'm saying is, it's like, yeah, these are legends, and they are. And every time I cast a game that's a little bit older, there's usually somebody who's like, man, these guys aren't very good. It's like, yeah, because nobody was really good in, 2006. Like, what do you want from these people? Compared to now, they were bad. Anyway, Nada moving out with an SCV. Now scouting. Weird map, though. Look, again, this is an old map. So you got a huge, open, weird main base. Your ramp's all the way over here. Your seconds there. I mean, walling is just not even an option. Look how wide that is. Yeah, so not a good map for that stuff. But it's a PvT, so walling's not really going to come into play here anyway. As we can tell by the placement of both players' opening structures. Barracks there, gateway there, yeah. Yeah, SCV scouts and says, nope, nothing up that way. Poor Steve, the SCV. He's doing his best. He's just worried about running into a Zealot or a Dragoon at some point and ending his life. Kakaru spooks him. Kakaru! Ah, says Steve. Oh, just native wildlife. Cool. What are you doing, Paul the Probe? What are you doing up here? Maybe Pauline the Probe. I mean, like, robots... I don't know. Pauline could work there as well as Paul, I think. I think they're gender neutral. These robots are anyway. Don't know, man. Not going to open that can of worms. Right. So, nothing crazy. Singularity charge. Huh. Quick factory. Neat. So, the basics of PvT have not changed in a long time. Honestly. Right? Dragoons are still the backbone of this for Protoss. Vultures and tanks are the backbone of this for Terran. Then you start mixing in Arbiters and Goliaths and maybe some carriers later. And then it gets crazy from there. Or it can just stay on those particular units and nothing crazy will ever happen again. Entirely possible. So, nope, remember what I said about Steve's worry. He's like, well, I was ordered to scout, so I'm going to die, but let's get this information. Anything crazy? No, nothing at all. Oh, look, there's gas. I guess I could check the probe count. But I saw the cybernetics core researching, so obviously it's Dragoon range. It's not like a super fast DT rush, which you could do. You could do that, but man, skipping Dragoon range, you're asking for a world of hurt. And up here, oh, it's a proxy citadel. Maybe it is DTs after all. But again, skipping singularity to do anything is really stupid. Oh, there was a gateway, canceled it. Putting it here instead. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the difference is. Cool stuff, though. I love it. I like it a lot. Meanwhile, if Dragoons try to get up here, we'll shoot them in the face. Command center being built on the high ground here for Nada. Yeah, so Dragoon shows up. Marines on the high ground saying, you can't get close enough to hit us without us hitting you. And that's your whole point as a Dragoon is. You outrange the Marines if you're microed really well, which, 400 APM from Nada, about 250 from Nalra are going to do some pretty decent micro, I would assume. This has to be. Yeah, Templar Archives, DTs. Let's go, baby. It is a DT rush. I didn't watch this in advance. Actually, I lied. I watched it on times 16 speed to make sure it wasn't broken. But I didn't see any details, and I don't know who won. I really tried to avoid spoiling myself that way. So, yeah, the fact that there are DTs in here, complete surprise. 3 Dragoons show up, but 2 tanks are on the top of the ramp, and that alone is pretty good against 3 Dragoons. But siege mode is on the way, so that's going to really shut down any Dragoon pressure and allow Nada to take his natural base here. Now, DTs coming up. 5 minutes. 5-minute DTs. That's what we're here for. Now, the number of Dragoons are like, yo, what do you think about this? It's going to be Dragoon pressure. Don't worry about detection. That's not a... Oh, there's a turret on the way. Nada! You careful, genius. So, yeah, he's worried. He's worried about DTs. I guess maybe the Dragoon count wasn't heavy enough. Oh, that's incredible. Okay, so neat. The DTs aren't getting anything done unless you shuttle them in, which you don't have a robotics facility, so that's not happening. Second base warping in from Nalra. He's like, crap. I'm not even sure. Does he know there's a turret up there? I think if he tries to send these up the ramp, he doesn't know there's a turret up there. Ready? Like, maybe if we focus down the... No, he's not even... He knows. He knows. He's staying out of range. There's a turret on the low ground, too. Yep, this is just trying to harass a bit, get some damage on the command center. Oh, never mind. He doesn't know there's turret there. He's trying to make a run for it. Okay, bad. Real bad from Nalra. Not the greatest choice. Look, I understand your opening gambit got completely hard blind countered there. But maybe don't just lose the DTs for nothing. What are you doing? What? Nalra, friend. You're making more DTs? These are probably already out by the time the first ones died to the, the siege tank, missile turret, absolute combo killer when you're dealing with DTs. Huh. So Protoss really wants to be up a base on the Terran. It's not even close to that right now, actually. Très triste. It's very sad here that Nalra is only on 2 bases against his 2 basing Terran opponent, Nada, who is... He's a bourgeois, right? He's one of the elite Terran players. One of the elite players, period, in the history of StarCraft. So it's difficult to measure this sometimes, but Team Liquid has a very cool... It's a page with a series of graphs that shows certain players like Flash, and Bisu, and Jaedong, and Nada, and Ilova OV, right? And Boxer, and anybody who had sustained excellence for a good chunk of time. Like, we're talking years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. If you're Flash, it's like, 15 years, 20 years. So, yeah, Nada's one of those. Sustained excellence, elite level, premier championship winning type play for a really long time. Because there are definitely players who've won 1 premier championship, or 2, but they couldn't sustain it, they couldn't keep it rolling, and they fell off. And they're not a bourgeois, right? No shame in that. Honestly, anybody who's won a premier tournament in Brood War, like, deserves all of the accolades and to never have to buy their own drinks in Seoul ever again. But, you have to differentiate out the elite talent from the very, 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 very good talent. They're different things, right? Yes, they are. Man, not even throwing up a 3rd Nexus here. No, if you're gonna win this, you need a 3rd. A ninja 3rd would be fun. I would not say to a ninja 3rd. Vulture speed on the way, blah, blah, blah. Nada's got the tanks. Now he's moving into the Vultures in case a bunch of Zealots show up, which not really any of those at the moment. Just the Dragoons, thanks. And actually, are there no Zealots at all? How intriguing. Oh, that's a scan. Let's see what that scanned. Okay, so scan the natural base, scanned the main base, didn't see the tech because it's all up here. I like it. But there's no tech to see. It's gateways up here and a cybernetics core, which you already knew about. And there's a Templar archive somewhere because DTs... I assume Nada noticed the DTs that he was murdering with ease. Maybe his attention was elsewhere and his tanks just killed him. And that was that. DTs never even, showed up on his radar. That'd be funny if that happened. Okay, so yeah, he knows DTs. He scans, kills, easy peasy. DTs get no damage done. Well, some damage, right? Like that Vulture's hurt, and I thought a tank took a swipe, but that didn't happen. So, nope, DT's not paying for themselves at all right now. But Dragoon count, okay, fairly heavy. Not enough to engage into 7 siege tanks, no. Oh, and the vultures are being active now, too. See, Nada knows what's up. He's like, if you just sit at home as Terran with all of your vultures and don't do anything with them, you're doing it wrong. Be active with them. It's like mutalisks. It's like lings. Like, here's the thing. I know I've made this point several times before, but it always bears repeating. If you have a very fast unit in StarCraft, use it to harass. Use it to scout. Use them to go kill a bunch of workers at a base. Because why? Because you can run away with them. And that's exactly what these vultures did. Slow units, if they move across the map, they are committing to an attack 90% of the time. There's that 10% where they can get out. But 90% of the time, they move across the map, they're going to die on the other side of the map. So they're not good for scouting. They get caught out by an enemy group of something that's faster or stronger than them, they die. But, you know, lings, mutalisks, vultures, even zealots with speed can be used in this way. If you're trying to figure out what the Protoss version of this is. Anywho, it's 119 and 97 supply, and Alra's got the 3 bases rolling. And still just kind of 2-basing it here as Nada. Again, this might be before the era where Terrans are like, I need 3 bases to be really unstoppably powerful. He's floating a command center this way. What? There's nothing over here. Oh, right. Inside the Fog of War. Of course. See? Zealots. Fast. Speed is done. Very nice. Getting +1 attack as well. And this command center's like, oh. Excuse me. I didn't realize this position was occupied. Quick! Murder the occupier! And dead. Million factories coming up at a time, and by that I mean 2. But just all this big old line of factories up the top right side. No upgrades are done for anybody yet, but vehicle weapons +1 is researching now for Nada. Yeah, robotics facility coming in, because, you know, spider mines are a problem, and being able to detect spider mines is really key in Brood War if the game gets to a certain point. This DT stuff, I love that Nalra's like, I rush DTs, I gotta use the DTs for something, and so far what they're doing is dying. Not really accomplishing anything at all. Nada is way too on top of this. So, Terran looking good so far, I gotta say. Stargate coming in. Could this be a carrier transition? Really only has the 2 gas right now. There's a 3rd gas potentially happening, which is nice, but potential doesn't really count. SCV wanted to expand up here, and he's like, oh! This is where these DTs came from, of course. Observatory roping in from Nara and Nada. It's like Tweedledum and Tweedledee, except they don't rhyme. It's like naming your kids, like John and Jan. I don't know, man. I'm falling apart here. Arbiter Tribunal. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And another Stargate. So once a lot of Arbiters. Yeah. So, I mean, look. How much of this game looks significantly different from one from 2022, right? Not a lot. Not a lot of it is different here. The Protoss is trying to out-expand the Terran. The Terran's actually gotten down to 3 bases. I figured he'd expand here first, which he is, but hey, whatever. 3rd base here or 4th base here, I'm not sure that it matters all that much. Probe transfer. The Great Probe Transfer of 2007. Karam boosters and Goliaths on the way because the Terran knows that Arbiters are in the future. Right, so mech +1 attack is done. +1 attack is also done for the Gateway unit. Stasis getting researched. Wonderful. We're going to see some beautiful Arbiter play from Nalra. He's up 176 to 144 supply. I mean, this has really just kind of been a macro simulator for the last little bit, hasn't it? I don't think Nalra's killed a single tank today. Which, as I always say in PvTs, you really got to keep that tank count low. The number of PvTs I've seen where the Protoss doesn't keep the tank count at all low and just dies to 37 siege tanks is way too high. I mean, we're getting into the 37 siege tank arena here. Yo. I don't know. But Nalra's economy is super hot. He went from 2 gas, and now he's working on his 4th gas. Here at only 15 minutes. He's spread across the middle here, so when any vulture run-bys have to run through a whole bunch of dragoons at the very least. Yeah, look at this. He just got a big line of dragoons covering this whole area from here to here. And then he just lost it all. So, he's going to come through. Ah, yes, the spider minefield clearing, a tradition unlike any other. You hear the sound of siege tanks sieging, and then you say, I'm not going in there. Nalra, maxed out, man. 197. Let's rock. Maybe wait for the Arbiters, wait for them to develop enough energy to where you can stasis some of these tanks, and then engage. More scans coming in. Scans the gateway count, scans where this army is. And boof, back into the fog of war we go. Keep thinking, yeah, this is an SCV up here for Nada, so probably going to expand up that top left for a 5th, which would be really, really useful. A very useful engine. Man, do you guys see Bullet Train? I thought it was pretty good. I don't think it was like the greatest movie of the year or anything, but it was fun. I really liked some of the characters in it. I enjoyed a lot of the action, too. But the Thomas the Tank Engine reminded me of that, and you'll see why if you watch the film. Yo, so I don't know, Nalra's starting to float cash because he's maxed out. You can't really do anything else with his money when you're at 200 supply. He's got upgrades going across the board. He's working on Arbiter energy. He's working on Observer sight range and even Plasma Shields, which is an expensive and sometimes unnecessary upgrade. Nada left side expanding while taking top left, so he's going hard. All right, here we go. Nalra says, enough is enough. I'm maxed out. Let's go. Got the Arbiters, got some stasis available. Bam, 4 tanks do get stasis. Whoa, Zealots are getting a ton of work done here. Where's that vulture count? There are some vultures, like 1 vulture joining the party. And all of a sudden, it looks like maybe Nada's vulture count was not sufficient to where are they? There were a ton of vultures running around. Did they all die? They might have gotten caught out somewhere and died that I missed. Entirely possible, but siege tanks sieging up, chasing out the remainder of Nalra's army. There's not a lot. There's not a lot here, but he's just firing up like 15 dragoons at a time. Maybe he could honestly use a few more gateways. He's still at about 1,300 minerals, but there we go. 7 zealots, 7 dragoons at a time. It's almost like a fastest map right now. Another scan comes in, and oh no, but I want to. Why can't I turn off Nalra right now? Turn off Nalra's face. Okay, well, this is broken. Lame. Yeah, just right back up to 174 supply. He had the better economy. He has the better economy, continues to. And I mean, look, that traded a ton of dragoons for a ton of tanks. So maybe if you do it at the 18-minute mark, it's viable. I don't know, man. It still seems like he's really outmatched here. He's flying in, trying to mess with this 6th base of Nada's and maybe even get into the 5th base while you're at it. But look at these poor dragoons fighting against the poor vultures fighting against dragoons, though. Reinforcing units from the south. The tanks, the stasis comes up. This surround is real. More tanks coming over from Nada, though. They've got the +2 attack and the +1 armor versus +2 attack and +1 armor of the gateway units here as well. Vultures, there we go, joining the party. Do we have enough scans available? Did I accidentally turn on someone else? No? Alright, cool, whatever. I really like to be able to see what Nada can see here, but apparently I just can't turn anybody's off anymore. Ah, beautiful timings. Times it to when the stasis wears off is there to kill the tanks immediately. Here goes nothing. Oh man, more vultures fighting dragoons. Not what you want to see. The 6th command center does go down. 180 to 106 supply all of a sudden for Nalra, and he's like, well, I guess we'll come up here and see what's going on. Maybe die to a spider mine or two. Losing a dragoon to spider mines, always an embarrassing, non-honorable death there. SCVs, evacuate. Evacuate. And actually, surprisingly, many of them do get out of there with a mineral walk. Great, but oh, the command center dies. No saving it from +2 dragoons. Not even close. they've got +1 shields now as well, which just helps them be more tanky. 199 to 124 supply. Another attack coming up. Good positioning on this bridge. Kind of hard for the Protoss player to engage here. But he's decided to do it anyway. Coming through the south seems like a death trap, but he's... You know what? He's doing it. He's coming through the south anyway. The north, it belongs to him as well. King of the North is what Nalra's going through here. And man, he looks good. I thought for sure that early DT stunt that didn't work for him was going to set him back. And he didn't do anything to whittle the tanks down. But you know what? It didn't matter. 4th command center down. 3 bases down. In about 90 seconds here, it feels like. More SCVs getting killed during this evacuation than in the previous evac. So 3 basing Nada, continuing to produce vultures and tanks, working on those upgrades. But you know, there becomes a point where upgrades don't really matter. If you have 3-3 against 0-0, but you're outnumbered 8-1 on the Dragoon count, it's not going to work out. These tanks need to siege up. They're bad rallying here. Nada's trying to set up more defensive positions over here. Is this... what are these Arbiters trying to do? Oh, man, that's it. That's your GG. 187 to 58 total supply. Nada, that's it. He recognizes he's done. He's continuing to produce here 4 vultures and 2 tanks at a time. But he's like, I don't know. It's just bad rally at this stage. I think, yeah, the game's just over. That's it. Nada's down to 100 gas. There's really no ability to produce here anymore. And yeah, 3rd base under attack. Dragoon's continuing to push up here. He's just kind of holding off. Vulture trying to make a bit of a run by there, potentially. Another expansion from Nalra. And yeah, that's it. That's your GG. Fare thee well, Nada. You are dead. And you know what? I'm thinking this replay is probably broken a little bit at the end here, but I think the end was determined. I think with the death of those bases, there was no way that Nada was going to come back and win this thing. So, GG. Well done. Nalra just out-macroing, out-positioning, and just that early attack of the Zealots really caught Nada off guard. Where are these Zealots trying to go? Goodbye. Just bouncing around all over the place. This group's just not interested in playing whatsoever. And yeah, money's starting to pack up here. But Nalra is maxed out, so it makes sense. Nada just kind of backed out. And there he is. He's tapped out, and our winner today is Nalra. Tasteless leaves the game as well. Woof! Yeah, that was great. Again, I thought the DT stuff wouldn't go... I mean, it didn't go well, obviously, for Nalra, but he just expanded, took a 3rd base a little bit late, I feel like, but 4th and 5th were quick. Then he goes 6th, then he goes 7th up this left side. Beautiful attack up to Nada's newest sources of income, wiped those out. Won a big engagement in the middle here, and then just kept macroing, had more and more army coming up all the time, and got that win. So 166,000 points left from Nalra, 121,000 points from Nada. Got outproduced by the Protoss player 215 to 114. So, I mean, if you get outproduced 2-1, yeah, maybe you don't need to wipe out as many tanks early as I sometimes assume you do. 22 to 4 buildings raised in favor of the Protoss, and overall the total resources spent 48,000 for Nalra to 38,000 for Nada. 10,000 resources in 22 minutes is going to work out just fine. So GG, well done there, going to Nalra, taking down the Terran Terror, and that's going to be it from me. So this is Ben Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.